Hey up guys, it's Rory from Enlighten the Shadows here, and we are a men's mental health group that is out there to support and make a difference. Our heart in Enlighten the Shadows is to create media, mindfulness and mentoring in a way we can really impact men's lives so that we can see them transform and utterly be supported and poured out love upon their lives. So it's, even if men are just struggling with a bit of stress and anxiety, or across the spectrum, all the way to if they feel like they just want to end their life or be suicidal. So if that's you, if you feel like you have no reason to live anymore, or you just need a little bit of support, if you need some guidance about how to better your life, some of your mindsets and your strategies, we'll be honoured to have you on the journey with us. And you'll just say, welcome to the brotherhood. We don't claim to have all the answers, but we are just here for you, extending that olive branch to see you flourish in your life. And we just say, have a go, give it a go. You never know what could happen. Have a great day. Cheers, guys. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Enlighten the Shadows. Today is episode 60. Yep, we've got hit another decade of episodes, and today I don't have someone from Twitter at last. Finally, maybe thinking today. You never guess what, guys. We made the jump bravely a couple of months ago, as we said. It wasn't always my cup of tea, but we've landed someone from the world of TikTok. Unbelievable scenes. And to go with it, our guest that we have today is an amazing guy, short, sweet, powerful content in the realms of mental health. And he supports our men so much. John Evans, welcome to episode 60 in Enlighten the Shadows.
Appreciate it, man. Oh, appreciate it.
Some would say we look like brothers.
Yeah, man. I was about to say, same spectacles, man.
I was going to pull out my blue light glasses until now. I'm going to take them off because they are blue light and they just literally reflect, and you won't be able to see my eyes.
Yeah, but I got a pair of these. I only put them on when it's evening.
There we go, brother. I thought I'd slip them on. So that twin vibe we got going on. So we haven't just got mental health in common. We've got the blonde hair. We've got the clear frames, everything. And every time I see you, it reminds me of them. So I had to get them out of the cupboard upstairs for sure. So I don't wear them, as I say. But mate, it's class to have you here. Off camera, we just obviously met one of our boys, Mark Bellamy, who came on a previous episode talking about our chat group and just, oh man, how that's grown exponentially privately on Facebook, and how we support men with just a plethora of battles with their mental health. And that's what I love about our team now. We're just pushing and knocking on doors, and I don't have to go, oh, can you do this, can you do that? He slipped into your DMs, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, man. He did. Do you know what? I missed his message. Like, I get thousands of messages, and I think his persistence was like, hey, I don't think John's seen my message, so then he'll check it in. And yeah, it was just great little conversation. And more than grateful to be here, man, and support your group and support the mission that you're providing the world as well, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you getting back to him. He's a top guy, and you got to meet him actually didn't you, a minute earlier, so it's dead good. But for those who don't know you, John, like, they're coming on to this chat. We're going to go places, hopefully using your wisdom, which is exciting. I'm excited for it. We said TikTok. So when did you join TikTok, and how did it just start booming for you?
Yeah, man. So I've always been on Facebook, to be honest. Always been on Facebook, and then I was kind of like dabbling with Instagram, but just kind of used Instagram as like friends are on there. And I was getting a word about when I was a coach, a lot of people were saying, get on the TikTok trend, get on the TikTok trend. And I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to really put much time, energy and focus on it because I'm building my Facebook and everything. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to spend a month just nailing it. Just like putting all the content I put out on Facebook, on Instagram, just go put it on TikTok. And I remember I was only getting like 200 to 300 views, and the others were getting, like, on the Instagram, I get thousands of views. And on TikTok, I was like, do you know what? There's a market out there that so many people are struggling mental health wise. And the videos I'm watching on TikTok are more related. Like, they need to see my videos. And I was like, I'm not getting that many views. Anyway, one of my great mentors and buddy of mine, has grown a huge TikTok channel. It's like 300,000. And he's like, John, just do one more video. Just do one more video. And I did that video and it went to like 7,000-8,000. And I was like, oh, blimey, there's a big jump here. And then I started doing more and more and more. And then one, which was all about overthinking, went to, in the next few days, went to 100 something thousand. And it made me realize that it's not what video you do, it's just how consistent you be in that platform. So I was like, cool, let's just keep being consistent and watch it grow. So I did that. And that's what really made me go into TikTok, was just like, I've got so much content, I can just repurpose it over onto TikTok. And a lot of people who are on my following, which I didn't even realize, were following me from TikTok and then coming over on Facebook and Instagram and then sending me a DM and saying, oh my God, I thank you so much for all your videos on TikTok. And I just thought I'm just putting the content out and then going back in and doing my other stuff. Like, I never put too much attention on it. And that's what really was the shift. I was like, right, I'm just going to use this as a platform to spread my awareness. And the people I'm speaking to, it's just incredible to know that platform, and just like any other platform, really.
Yeah, man, definitely.
So yeah, that's the whole reason I kind of started, was a little bit like, my buddies were like, hey, just get on TikTok and just give it a go. So it's like, cool, I'll give it a go. And then doing TikTok gave me confidence, man. Gave me confidence in videos, because I was just like punching them out. It's like, do it. And I never really did short form. I was just doing long posts, like writing. Yeah. I'm a spokesman. Give me a video, man. I'll talk, and that's me. I was like, these little 30. I was like, I've got 30 seconds. I'm gonna just do it.
Cram it in.
Seconds. So I was like, what wisdom can I share? Keep it short, sweet, to the point. Maybe it could be some wisdom, maybe a tip, something like that. And I just started sharing. And then one video that I did really, really well, I then just thought, hey, I'm going to do this on Facebook. And I wasn't getting much traction on Facebook, but then I started getting traction. And that video, which did it on TikTok, got to like 116,000. And it's not always about numbers, but look at the impact that we're able to make. I then put that onto Facebook and it went to 5.2 million. And it was a huge difference. And what it made me realize is, like, I'm grateful for TikTok because it's given me everything that I need to build on other platforms.
Yeah. And
a lot of my following are coming from TikTok and then moving over and following me on the other platforms as well. So really, like, if like, anyone's watching and it's just like, you sit on TikTok, like, I call it death scroll. Like, you start scrolling on there, but some of the stuff on there is so good for us. We have to search for it. And that's what happened with my videos. People were just searching for it, and it got seen, got noticed, got shared, got saved, got added to favorites. And then, it just took off. And I just thought, hey, I'm just going to keep inspiring, because I've got an audience just over there who are different to those who all follow me on the different.
That's right. Yeah. So, it's a fascinating world, social media. And I think, sadly, it's got a lot to answer for. But I kind of keep my energy and the way Enlighten goes is really promoting how great the networking that can take place, the content that can be digested, and how people can grow as a result, grow in, have better relationships. And just like earlier, Mark Bellamy, I never would have known him if I wouldn't have had an online interview myself, and then he couldn't access anything but the group. So, and all, as I joked at the start of the podcast, there's so many people that have come as a result of me just networking and getting to know people on Twitter. And that's why I love Twitter. But then sadly, Twitter's got this pretty dark side to it that all platforms have. And I just think with TikTok, just on that note, camping here, there's a lot of content for me personally as a bloke, and the interest I have. I just think there's just a lot of just trash on there, like meaningless. Yeah, it's kind of lacking in depth, but I guess that's the vibe on TikTok. It's quite light-hearted stuff, and I get that. And then that's kind of challenged me to kind of grow into that realm and go, you know what, just try it. And so I literally do something called light bulb moments, where I have a quick revelation, a one sentence kind of strap line of a revelation just to share. It's usually light-hearted. And I just literally click and the light bulb comes on, and then bang, just go for it. Now, I've only done about 15, 20 videos. I'm probably at like 63 followers, and I have my views per video is a lot higher than your original ones. Like, I'm getting anywhere from 300 up to like 1,000 and a half to
2,500 views on them. So you can't judge it. All I am doing is just saying, right, here we are. But again, for us, it's more of a signpost. It's getting that people who are there, who are, like you said, who aren't on Facebook, which is where our private chat group I put on the screen for people now, and YouTube, which is this, where we provide content for people, with people like you and other amazing people who've got something to bring. So yeah, man, I think social media, we always need to keep that side of positivity with it and keep presenting it to the world, because it is a good thing. And you know, you've changed many people's lives, I'm sure you get people messaging you. And
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. My inbox is flooded with save people's lives. Just yeah, it you know, really takes a step back into life and realize that, wow, like 20 seconds, me taking 20 seconds out of my day to do this video has just saved someone's life. And it just shows you the impact that we can create if we truly love what we do. And I think for us creators, there's a lot of noise in any social platform. But you've got to look at it two different ways. Are you a creator or are you a consumer? And TikTok, I'm not a consumer, I'm a creator. Instagram, I'm a creator, not consumer, because I've realized how detrimental my clients come to me and realize that it's social media that we have to get them off to make them realize that their mental health can start getting improved. So it's a big thing for a lot of creators and a lot of consumers to make that realization of like how much time you actually creating stuff, if you want to create videos on there, or you're actually spending time consuming it. And that can also regiment your mental health as well.
Such a valid point, because you mentioned it earlier about the scroll of doom and death, where you know it is so subtle and it can just happen. You know, if you don't start your day right and your habits aren't quite aligned and consistent, and the first thing you do all day long, first thing I do if I'm not, is get the phone out, you're on socials. And actually mine's from a place of care, so it's seeing if people need help online, there's any messages. But then very quickly, if that's all done, or if there isn't anything that particular moment, it instantly kind of transitions into this forever scrolling, and it's brutal. And you kind of like know after a while you're doing it, but then I guess it's the dopamine or whatever, and it just keeps going.
It is, yes. It's the dopamine at the end of the day. Of our body wants a quick dopamine fix because you're wanting to feel heard, seen, and understood. And the content that you're now scrolling to, you start feeling it. And then when you start watching videos that you don't resonate with, that make you feel a little bit more upset, you want the quick dopamine fix to get you better. So guess what you do? You go now find someone who is inspiring on social media, and you start finding their stuff and start scrolling. So it's that cycle that it creates. And at the end of the day, like that's what it's there to do. Like social media, that people are paid to keep people on a platform. That's their job. So we've got to respect that. But it's like, okay, where's my discipline? And that's what I need to be building, rather than thinking I need to just turn the, blind. Because at the end of the day, you need to adapt. It's not going to go anywhere.
No.
Things are going to get enhanced. Like think about TikTok 3 years ago was nothing really.
No.
And now look at it, it's one of the biggest. Now they're doing SEO and way, cap into Google. Okay. And what that means is in 3 years, something can grow monstrosity to that, and everyone uses it. And a lot of it was kids, which is a big realization for parents to realize that, okay, what are my kids actually watching? It's like, I don't want them watching it. Well, no, you need to learn it yourself. Because if you don't understand that technology, it's going to be hard to you to be able to get your kid off that.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how drawing and how demanding that can be. Okay. So, it is, there's two ways of looking at it. And I look at it as the one word, perspective. The perspective that you look at on it is the perspective that you get to see it, and how you perceive something is how you'll see the world. So if you see TikTok as evil, then TikTok's going to be evil. I don't see it as evil. I just see it as putting messages out. There's people who want to make fun stuff. There's people who want to share a little bit more controversy. There's people who want to do a lot of love in the world, like give so much love and care and support. And it's like, which view are you wanting to look at? And that's what we've got to take into consideration when we are online and searching these sort of stuff.
I love that, using the word perspective. I think for me personally, it's balance. Like, totally agree with perspective. My one would be balance, because I think, using it for an extent is great. Using it to an extreme, it's going to have its impact in ways at times. Like, even hearing you humbly say, like, oh, I use it this X amount of time. That's amazing. Like, sometimes I'm trying to create stuff on a particular platform, and I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I'm very close. So I'm like constantly rejigging, fiddling around. Like, I'm on something called Canva. Oh, love Canva, brilliant app that helps a lot with our artwork, and I help locally with my church with artwork too. So I'm on there a lot, and it's just constant rejigging and trying to excel and grow myself too. And so it takes a lot of your time. So if you don't have that discipline of balance, where say you set yourself right 45, 60 minutes, and then it's all right, you're done, you could be on there for like 2 hours easy. It's that gripping.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what they're there to do. But yeah, it's something to always consider. And like like myself, I was in a place of, when I first started being a coach, I was self-sabotaging myself, I was procrastinating, I was being a perfectionist, all this sort of stuff, and imposter syndrome. And these little videos really helped me, because it was like, yeah, I'm doing these videos, but they're actually for me. I'm doing them quite selfishly because I need this support. I need this message, and no one else. I'm hearing it, but I'm not hearing it. And I'm like, I want to share this. So I'm like, well, I've now got a backlog of me. I can go on and listen to my videos, and it goes in. And when I'm replying to comments, when I've got thousands of comments to reply to, I'm just hearing in the background my voice talking about it. And I'm like, that's going straight into my subconscious mind, which is helping me massively. And it's like, thanks, John. Like, well done for doing that video, for you as well. And a lot of people say, like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, well, I needed to share that message to myself first. And I just thought, why not record it and share it with the world? Because I could remind myself it, but I know that it could impact someone else's life. Maybe them, 20, 30 seconds, a minute.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's so cool to hear. And I want to ask you about that. Like, you're referring to yourself, your own battles and stuff. For you, like, as a young man, like, I'm 34 now, so you roughly-ish my age, maybe.
Yeah, 28.
Yeah, so a bit younger. But you're in that age where you're kind of like coming into your own. For you and your mental health journey, when was it really highlighted to you as a young man or a man, where you became kind of self-aware and you started the journey? Where was that, and what did it look like?
So it was when I was 23. So I had a very successful landscaping business. And if you learn anything about mental health, a lot of people teach you about garden therapy. And I done that for 8 years. So since I was 15 years old, I had my own business doing gardening outside, in soil, digging like a kid, how we should do, not on phones, on literally digging stuff and planting trees and everything. And I learned a lot of my teachings and everything that I teach now is because of everything that I learned when I was a gardener. But I never realized how much that was protecting me from my own demons.
Right.
Because with garden therapy, it really allows you to be in the present moment, like all the time. I stepped away from that because I had wasn't an ultimatum, but I had a dream. And I believe that, really, that if there's a little voice inside you that tells you to do something, maybe you should do it. And it was basically to stop and know that, John, you're bigger than this. Your little village can, you're just seeing this, like the world needs to hear who John Evans is. And that was me petrified, like, no freaking possibility of this stuff. And what it made me realize is that I needed to shift out of it. So, literally that day I woke up and it was like, do you really want to be doing this for the rest of your life? And within 2 seconds, I said no. So then I went on my laptop, went on my Mac and just typed a letter to my business partner, and I gave him 10 weeks notice of me hanging up the tools and saying, the business is yours, you can have it. I don't want anything. I'm just moving away. And that right there was like when my mental health really kicked in, because it was like, John, what are you doing? You're now miles out of your comfort zone. You've been in your comfort zone for many years. You know what you do. I was just out, and I was like, what are you going to do? You know,
it's like floods of doubt coming in. Big time.
Yeah, I'm dyslexic, and I'm like, how if I don't use my hands, what am I going to do? And I wanted to be in the car industry because I love cars. I was like, how am I going to do that? Like, am I going to be able to do an interview and everything? And what taught me a lot about that is realizing how being passionate about something can win over everything.
Yeah.
Your enthusiasm, your charisma towards something that you're truly passionate about, you don't need to have a degree.
No.
And when I hit that, that was when my mental health really took a toll, because I was panicking. I was in like, you know, running, like not fighting. I was flight. I was like avoiding the situation, panicking, didn't know what to do. And that's when it started here, like really affecting me. And, you know, having to go to doctors, and they all wanted to give me antidepressants and everything. And it really, again, came to another ultimatum. And I realized that before that, I wanted to learn meditation. Because I had a mentor, Jay Shetty, many years ago, about 5-6 years ago. He was a mentor of mine, and now he's, you know, huge, really successful and everything.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
and he taught me so much about breath and also meditation. Yet meditation was making me more depressed, because for a lot of guys it will. Because for women, they will go to the pub, they'll go somewhere and have a little gossip. So they're airing out their thoughts. So when you say sit in silence to a woman, they'll say, okay, they'll sit in silence and they'll journal, they'll have their thoughts, and they won't panic too much. For a guy, that's the worst thing we can possibly do. And that's what was happening. When I was meditating, I was like, oh my God, I feel even more self-conscious. I feel more depressed, all these stuff. And my self-confidence just gone down the drain. And I realized that there's a lesson here, but what is it? And I was like, John, you're not understanding your emotions. You're not able to regulate your emotions. You're not processing them. All you're doing is avoiding them. And when you're trying to meditate, you're trying to avoid them while they come to your mind. So that was when mindfulness really opened my mind to everything. You know, talk about a book, Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. I listened to that book and I did not understand. I thought it was like Jibru. Like, I was like, what on earth is this? Like, I don't understand it. His voice is making me sleepy, like listening to it. Like, I really did not understand it. And it took me 4 times to read that book, to listen to it, and realize the power of it. And that book changed my life. It made me really step more into the present. And that's how I was able to manage my mental health, and realize that it just came down to a choice. You know, a lot of people look at me now and think, you know, I was at my sister's wedding last weekend, and so many of the guys came up and they were like, how are you so positive? How are you so positive? Like, I know you online and I know you're that, but I'm like, not, you know, family, friend. And I see you in person and you're still the same person as you are online. And I said, it just comes down to one word. And they're like, well, what? I need to know it. And I was like, get your pen and paper out. And they're like, get your pen and paper out.
Spell.
And literally, I was just like, it's choice. Because I had to decide, I had to make a choice. Do I allow my mental health to control me, or do I take control of my mental health and know that it's actually my strength? Because we all have mental health. Okay? It's all something that we need to master. But the only way we master it is by diving into it. If you want to be good at sport, be good at football, what do you have to do? You have to jump in the deep end and have a ball and just kick around and learn. And that's what I had to do. So when I started understanding my mental health and having these thoughts, I wasn't allowing them to jump to too many conclusions. I was like, I'm actually going to give myself a perspective and say, like, at the end of the day, I want to be at peace with myself. And the only way I can do that is through choice. So I had to decide to choose me in this situation. So when it was going really, really tough, when it was breaking me down, I wasn't feeling good enough, I had no worth, I had to sit with that and go through that process and realize, well, John, you're the person who's thinking this. No one else is putting it out there. You may be thinking others are thinking it, but it's your mind.
This is powerful. This is powerful. We got to stay here. This is really, really important. I think this is what a lot of men are actually looking for. And interestingly, we've not have all the episodes, and as amazing they've all been, and as insightful and equipping they've been, coming down to it and tackling it, which is what you're referring to. When you were at that point and you're having these self conversations, you're dealing with truth ultimately, and you've got to find your way out of it. I had this podcast where I was actually the guest, which was meant, because I'm always interviewing people, but we're talking about saving yourself.
Yeah.
Despite how many amazing tools are out there, like our group, like free phone, Samaritans 116 123, text service shout, Contact Mind, Andy's Man Club for men. There's loads of them around the country, and we massively back them. Their quality, like you said, going to the doctors, they'll give you an antidepressant, which can work for some, doesn't really work for others. And in my opinion, it masks these things and numbs it slightly. And so I really want to get this out of you today, if that's all right. No pressure. You're in this really gloomy place where you're at war ultimately. Can you really just unwrap and unravel for you kind of how you had to treat yourself, whether it was like with kindness and also with some firm truths, like what was that looking like over time? Because I'm really conscious that people are going to see this and go, oh yeah, he's made on TikTok, brilliant, blah, blah, blah. But I really don't want them to see the aesthetics here.
No, yeah.
I really want to just move that out of the way. We've dealt with that, and it's great. Like, kudos, I salute you genuinely for getting to where you are today. You deserve every bit of it. But there's a secret power here that's at work. So can you just help us, like, where you're going, you made that decision, you've dropped the business, your bumhole's squeaking like mad, you're feeling like you're in flight mode, you're panicking, you're getting anxious. Just how did that, day by day, week by week, what did that look like? Am I making sense?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I might as well give you the experience that broke me. So it was actually at the doctor's. So I was kind of dealing with this, and I think the biggest thing that I would like a lot of men to realize is honesty with yourself. Okay. For many years, I was never honest with myself, how I felt. I never respected me. I was always waiting for other people. I was always pleasing others. We become this people pleaser, and we always say yes to everyone else.
Yeah.
And for me, it really, really made a huge kind of like crater in my heart when I was at the doctor's and they were like, hey, John, like, do you want these tablets? And, give or take, I've got no respect against, like, I'm not going to say take them, don't take them. Like, I'm open, but I didn't want to, because I'm more of a person who, I've got myself in this situation. I didn't take drugs to get myself in this situation, so I'm not going to take drugs to get myself out of it. I know it's holistically. I know there's something deep down inside me, and maybe they would give it to me and allow me to open up, but I know that I can do this myself, because I've got to be honest with myself. I've got to stop avoiding. And I actually, in that room, when I said no, I gave myself an ultimatum. I was crying to her. I literally broke down. And what actually happened was she was talking a lot of things, and I had a big realization about why I felt unworthy, why I felt I wasn't good enough. And it brought back to time when I was about 6, when I was in year 6, or say 10, 11, around that time.
About 10, 11, yeah.
And I was playing football, and one of the lads, kind of like, we used to like nick the ball or whatever it was, and I picked it up and started running, and then this guy was running behind me, shouting at me, like giving me all this abuse, and it really like took a toll on me. And it wasn't what he was saying, it's who it was. So his name was Johnny as well. And when I was younger, I used to get called Johnny. So I've gone like 3 different things. But I used to be called Johnny, and his name was Johnny. And when he was shouting all this stuff, I looked up to him as like the smartest kid in the school. Like, he was the smartest kid. And I was like, if he's saying that to me, I got to believe it.
It's like truth.
Because he literally, that must be truth. So I unraveled that belief for so long. And when I got to the doctors, and I made a big realization into, like, something's really happening inside me. Like, there's something that I need to speak. I need to let it out. Anyway, I looked to the corner of the doctor's room, and because I was crying, he was there looking at me, laughing. But it wasn't him as the age I was. It was when we were a kid. And he was there laughing at me and everything, thinking, oh, you're pathetic, John. Look at you. Look, you're laughing at doctors and all this stuff. And it made me realize, I looked over to him and I was like, wait a minute. All them things that he said to me, I've been holding on as a backpack my whole entire life. He's 11 years old. Like, John, he's 11 years old. Are you really going to believe that what he was saying was what he actually wanted to tell you? Or did he just want the football? And that was when my heart opened to possibility. And I was like, maybe you've been questioning your life, John, way differently. Maybe you need to be more open about how you look at yourself, how you present yourself, how you see yourself, and actually be truly honest with yourself and respect who you are. When the doctor said, like, hey, do you want to take these? I literally, after having that, kind of like grabbed tissues, wiped my eyes and everything. And I stood up and I said, give me 3 weeks, I'm going to change my life. I had no freaking idea I was going to be able to do it in 3 weeks. I just said a word, just said whatever my heart told me. And I walked home and I was literally just crying all the way home. I sat home and I just sat and meditated. And I just closed my eyes and I just said, just allow all my thoughts to come in and don't judge them, John. Just look at them, just see what they are, and just sit there and just take it all in. And when I did that process, I'm feeling it right now. When I did that process, I felt like tons of shackles were just coming off me.
Come on.
And what it made me realize was that I was actually respecting myself more than I did others in that moment, which meant I wasn't pleasing anyone. I was trusting me. And for so many times, my whole life, I just wore a mask. And I never allowed it to open up and say, like, John, just be you. And it was physically draining. When I did that, literally, my dad came in. Like, my dad knocked on my door. And I was like, what's he doing here? I opened the door. Like, he can just see me bawling out. And he's like, oh, I just got you, he was like, oh, I just got your sandwich. Like, I just thought I'd bring it around. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay. And he's like, what's up? Like, what's happened? Like, and I literally hugged him and just cried. And I literally soaked his t-shirt in just tears. And he started tearing up. And he was like, I don't understand. Because I was so strong. But because I let my guard down at the doctors and walking all the way home, then meditating, I was seeing me for who I was, no one else. And what that taught me so much was about, if you really need to fight your demons, you need to be honest with yourself. Because if I wasn't honest with myself and the doctors, and I didn't see what I saw and really accept it, I would still be that kid I was then, still trapped, still hungry for thinking that materialistic things are going to buy me everything. No, they're not. I've had amazing cars. I live in a beautiful home. I have all these fancy things. Materialistic things meant nothing. Because if you can't understand your emotions, if you can't really understand emotion regulation and really hit to your heart and listen to that and listen to your gut, then what are we meant to be doing here? You're just living a fake life. So I opened that up and I just literally, I opened a can of worms then, because I was like, okay, John, you've got a lot to write down, journal. And I literally just, when my dad went, he was like, okay, yeah, I'm good. I just literally sat and I must have wrote like 20 pages in my journal. And then I got a highlighter and I highlighted every word that I need to remind myself of who I am. And that was probably the biggest practice that I did that radically changed my mental health and the respect I had for myself. So yeah, like, yeah, those watching, it takes time, it takes hard work. But once you start truly owning yourself and taking full responsibility of your actions and knowing that you put yourself in that situation, guess what? You're the person who can get yourself out of it. I've been there. I've seen it. And I've been able to help many men and women get out of the dumps because of the same situation. And so many times we think that the world has what we need. Here's a real truth bomb for you. It's not. How you perceive the world is what it's going to give you. So that means everything starts within. Okay. So start listening to your heart more often. Yeah, we're meant to be a man, we're meant to be all like tough geezer. No. That's been perceived on us for generations. But let me tell you, I've broken down many of them men and realized that they're just as innocent as every other. They don't want to be that tough man, but they think they have to be strong. Strength doesn't come from your guns, your muscles. Strength comes from your heart and how you lead. So that's what I focused on. So yeah, man. Long story short.
Go on. Smashing it right now. Wow. So something I'm conscious of in what you said, what about those men who have had external impacts upon their life?
Yeah.
Say a bereavement, a job loss that wasn't actually their fault, or nor did they want that job loss. A relationship that they seemed to perceive that was going well, and then that person broke their heart or walked away. Those kind of things. Because what you're saying, mate, I'm 100% with you, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I've had a 2-year battle with all of this, and I'm slowly coming out of it. And thank you for saying the things you said, because it was a loving nudge that I need. But there's people out there that those things happen to. So can you kind of take that as well and kind of guide them with a bit of support?
Yeah, definitely.
Please? Love it, brother. So far, it's class. Loving it.
So the one thing that we need to realize is that, like I mentioned, perspective. Okay. Now, this is even my merch. So this is my merchandise, right? It says perspective. It's a smiley face or a sad face. It's how we look at it.
Yeah.
Right? You can see a sad face first. You can see a smiley face. The one thing I want you to all consider is, if something external has really impacted your life, it's not the thing that's happened, it's what we do after it. And so many people look at all the things that were going wrong and don't actually look at the lesson that it's actually teaching you. Like relationships, okay? So many people, I've saved relationships, I've saved marriages, I've helped people actually find the relationship that they truly want. But it all comes down to the lesson that they've been taught. What is the lesson that they want to learn in that area? Because if we don't figure it out, if we're not asking ourselves, what's the lesson? If we don't ask the lesson, sorry, dog banging on the thing.
So I got a pup out there, so.
So if we don't truly understand that there is always a lesson in any situation, then that's when we can start pivoting and changing our perspective. Because all we'll do is we'll look at the situation as like, we'll put a lot of blame on ourselves, and then we'll beat ourselves up for it, and we'll feel absolutely destroyed thinking, what have I done wrong? What have I done? And it's like, you can look at it like that, or you can look at it as thinking, okay, this was teaching me something. Like anything, man, there's always a lesson in no matter what. If something went great, okay, then it's been an amazing day and it's a blessing. But if something went wrong, that's an experience. And what can we learn from that experience? Because so many times I've had many failures. You know, I was in the car industry driving absolutely phenomenal cars, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, all sorts, you know, and I damaged a few by just not being mindful, not being in the present moment. Okay. And what it taught me, not by, oh shoot, what's my boss going to say?
Yeah.
He was even there when it happened. Okay. But what actually happened was he just said to me, what's the lesson? What have you learned? What have you learned from this situation? And I was like, I never looked at the lesson because I was too afraid of it.
Ooh.
Okay. Because if you,
yeah.
If it's a relationship, you don't want to hit the hard stuff. You don't want to hear the stuff that's going to hit you. We want to put it all out on someone else. It's easier to blame others than it is to blame yourself. It's far easier. Okay. But the biggest thing, if you want to learn the secret to self-love, to really loving who you are as a man, it's actually keeping your own promises, and making sure that you are making promises to yourself. Okay. And in them situations, I guarantee you made a lot of promises to them people, to that environment, to that situation, to that external factor. But the big thing you never realized is, if it doesn't go my way, what's the lesson? What have I learned? Because there's always a blessing. If you want to look at it that way.
Because otherwise it just happens to us, right? And then we get thrown and tossed like the wind and the sea, and it's like we become a victim. And again, that's why I'm mindful that people hearing this don't hear it from a sense of a finger point. And what I really love about you that I'm learning and just receiving and listening, even me, like I'm just chatting with you to pick things out and interview you, but I'm actually sat here like a viewer, seriously. And thank you again, thank you. What I love is that your approach isn't easy to hear, but the place it's coming from that I see, I know 100% it's coming from a place of what we referred to earlier as love. Like it's not because you've got there and you're looking down from this ivory tower. It's no, I've been there. I'm not where you are exactly, but I've been there. And so this is come this way if you can, come, choose this. And I love that, brother, because with this approach in mental health, I think sometimes some people are kind of wrote off and scorned and dismissed. So one of those people is David Goggins.
Yeah.
His book, You Can't Hurt Me, was obviously people can hurt us. But again, even the title, people can misconstrue without going there and learning the lessons that he's learned and sponging his experiences that might be slightly different, but ultimately it's pain, it's suffering, it isn't nice. And the tools that he uses, he gets wrote off because he has this tough kind of approach to things. And it's not that David Goggins doesn't care. He absolutely cares. But yeah, I just want viewers to hear that today, that everything we're saying, everything that this is about, it's from love and it's about restoration. And I just want to thank you genuinely, because it's class. Like I'm seeing it and I'm feeling it coming out. I want them to know that too. I hope they know this as you're presenting this, because frankly, I think I'm going to have a little moment after this recording. I felt like I'm not making this about me, but I've had a cruciate knee ligament injury for the last 2.5-3 months. I've been off work since July the 1st. And as a man, that's felt horrible because I've been immobilized and I can't work. I've done other stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's been really hard. I felt this grey haze and it's been really hard to shake off. So I feel that when I'm getting off this, I'm going to go have a really honest kind of thought processing about myself and what I've learned and how to just really just move on now that it's coming to its end. It's time to move on and just to rid of this, take the lessons that I learned and just go on to the next level of my life. Massive.
That's it. The biggest thing as well is like, it's tough for us to accept now. Don't get me, like, this isn't easy. This was never easy for me, and don't think it was easy for me. It's just easy now because I'm able to see the light. Okay, but if you think about a glass vase, you have to break it and mend it to then make more light inside it. Okay, so the biggest thing is as well is coming down to like where you just shared your experience, man, is like, okay, I've got to accept this. If I'm not going to accept the situation I'm in, I'm not going to be able to move forward because I'm still thinking that I haven't got an injury. I haven't got that crucial ligament damage. What I've got is a situation that I'm not liking, and I see grey haze. I see the storm. And what we know is the storm does pass. Mm-hmm. And we know the famous, words, this too shall pass as well. And that has saved me many times because it will. Whether you're feeling a positive thought or you're feeling a really negative, shitty one, is like, actually, this too shall pass as well, whether it's good or bad. Mm-hmm. So in that situation, what can I accept myself for? And what do I need to move on from? Because as the wonderful Tony Robbins says, and many other big leaders will say, like, life happens for us, not to us. Yet if we live in a world that life is always happening to you, then you're just going to be in a state of blame and victim. And the issue with being a victim is that you allow the external world to control your every move, because that's what you've given it. You've given it all its power. Let me tell you right here, right now, the power is already inside you. And our strength comes from our strength comes from our pain. And we can change our pain to our power and all that sort of stuff. But you need to make sure that we bring that awareness to accept where I am. Because in order for you to move forward in anyone, no matter where you are in life, if you're in rock bottom, you have to accept where you are. You mentioned about David Goggins. When you read his book, you know that he was a guy spraying and killing cockroaches. 300-pound guy.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's one of the toughest mans on the planet. Okay. But the mentality that he had was that I am not that person. I can be more. But I've got to change my mindset. So me thinking like I'm a cockroach sprayer is not going to get me to be in the Navy SEALs. Thinking like I am already a Navy SEAL is going to get me to be a Navy SEAL, even if I have to go through hell week 3 times. Okay? Just like any of our situations.
Yeah.
We've all had that. But we have to know that our future self is there supporting us and giving us so much love. So just simply ask yourself this question. If you're in a really tough situation, what would my best self do in this situation? So I guarantee you it's not sit around and mope around. Yeah, we need tough love at sometimes. Especially men need it more than women. But the big thing is that if we don't respect the love that we give ourselves, how are you going to move forward? You have to own it. You have to accept it. And then learn from that lesson. Learn from that mistake. Learn from that failure.
Mate, this is pure flames, and it actually reinforces my my model, which I need to promote way more and trademark, which is ACT, act. We have to act. So A is to actually acknowledge it. If we don't acknowledge these things, as you've said, you're in denial. You're in denial. It's just going to be a self-cycling imprisonment, and it's never really going to go. You're never going to really grow. And once you've done that, it's time to comprehend it, to start thinking about it. As you say, there's a meditation, there's to externalize it through writing, there's talking to someone about it, there's working out strategies, it's working out where did this come from, what might trigger it. And then, but if you stay at A and C, you're still stuck because you're not doing anything about it, which leads to what exactly you've said beautifully. We have to take ownership. We have to take action. And if even it means trying something, it's better than trying nothing. So yeah, man, I love how this is all just coming together beautifully, and it's just been a blessing and help to me as well. And you wouldn't believe it. You're thinking, oh, this guy, you know, is the founder of a men's mental health group, support over 620 men, and there's a podcast that's had over 70,000 views. Like, that's irrelevant. I'm still a human being. I still feel things. I still go through hardships, and so I need that encouragement and that reminder and that honesty, as you referred to, which I think is going to be the message. Like, headline here is having that honesty with yourself. And Goggins had a truth mirror, didn't he?
Yeah, so he had the truth mirror, the methodology. So I love cookies. So when he spoke about the cookie jar, that was like my best. That was like, oh man, thank you. I'm going to acknowledge you every single time I think about it. But the cookie jar has saved my life many times. Because when we are struggling, when we are in the depths of, I can't do this anymore, just freaking grab a cookie, open it up like a fortune cookie, and realize that you had an event in your life that you got through the hardest time and you got through it. So this thing that you're struggling in, this time that you feel like the world is crushing you, guess what? You've survived this long. This is just a moment. And if you ask yourself this simple question, is like, can you change your life in one day? Yes.
Well, yeah, you can in its principle. Yeah. I was like thinking as in like the collective, no, but the spark and the fuel to.
That's it. Because guess what? It just comes from a decision.
Yeah, massive.
If you can change your life, all you're doing is saying, do you know what? Rather than me sitting here, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to make a phone call. Well, that phone call could lead to something else. Then that phone call could lead to something else. Then that message could lead to there. And then you walking into the shop could lead to something else. My brother lives in Dubai, and he came back for my sister's wedding, and we came down, and he used to work at Jaguar. And we walked in, and we were chatting with everyone, and literally I landed a talk at the dealership just by me doing what I'm doing, by me sharing what I do. And I was like, if I had sat in the car and just said, hey mate, you go see all your old workmates, I'm just going to sit in the car, like, there we go. And I was like, no, let's change it up. Let me just walk in and start meeting these new people. So I made a decision, and that's just made me to be able to impact more people in their life. And the dealer principal and the sales manager was blown away by just me talking for the 20 minutes. And it's like, that was a decision. So anything we can decide. You can decide after this podcast to be like, do you know what? I'm going to grab my journal and do some writing. Those watching the viewing, wherever you are, take a moment and think, what am I going to decide to do today? And all we have to do is one thing, because then we can create a ripple effect to change everything.
Yes, lad. My gosh.
Yeah.
There we have it right there. There's the mustard. Mate, oh wow. I am blown away and buzzing right now. This is good. This is good. This is very good. This is why we exist. Come on now. Just conscious of time and just want to honor, like, this has just been effortless from my behalf. So
yeah, man,
some boy you are.
Been a pleasure.
Before we go though, and it might entail with the stuff you've said already, but for a guy who is literally at that place where, where you kind of were the doctors that day, but I'd say even just as heavier, where they don't really want to be around anymore. Can you give like a small piece of advice for them, mate?
It sounds like we know this, but the words mean more than what I'm trying to say. So like, is going to be okay. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because the more we tell ourselves it's going to be okay, the more we're going to start realizing that it is okay. And then that means that the more we're trusting ourselves, which means the more we're able to then do the action that we need to do. So really what I'm getting you to think about is, if you are in a place that, maybe your time's coming to an end, that you don't want to be here, I want you to really ask yourself and think, if I took action today, how would my life be different? If I took one thing, if I just made one decision differently, where would my life be? And don't think about the past, because that's what will happen. Your mind will go to the past. I want to think of right now. Right here, right now. That's all we have. We don't have tomorrow. Because guess what? When tomorrow comes, it's today. So know what is the one thing that you can do today that can get you up on your feet. Because when we are down, if we're laying on our back, at least we can look up and get up. Okay, so that's what I would say. Because like everything like we've shared today is I as I mentioned, perspective is a word that has changed my life. And I think the more times we use that word, the more times we start realizing that I can change my life by changing my perspective. So wherever you are, whatever you are doing, whatever state you're in, know that it's going to be okay. And know that if you're worried about no one's got you, there's one person who has got you, and that's yourself. Don't let yourself down. Do this for you. Because when you're able to make that moment to inspire someone else, you're going to tell them the same piece of advice. Do it for you, man.
Yeah.
That's what I want to share.
Big time, brother. Thank you, John, man. For those who have been watching throughout this episode, we've been putting his TikTok on there. You probably come across us because of his TikTok, potentially, if he's shared this podcast. And then also we are on TikTok, believe it or not. That's at Enlighten, the SH1. Yeah, our content's lighthearted, very short and sweet. So that's how we are on TikTok. And then other social media, we have at Enlighten, the SH1 as well. Instagram, we have a slight issue. I keep having to say this, sadly. We've been hacked in July. Can't keep getting the account back because apparently they don't recognize this mugshot on the account, which is already on there. Go figures. We're on Twitter. We're fully working. Our DMs are operational, guys. We are there for you. We're here to listen. We're here for you to just vent and let it all out as much as you need. So this has been episode 60. I've been blessed. We hope you have been blessed. John, you've been a blessing, brother. And we will look forward to seeing you or speak to you again soon, bro. All right.
Man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you,
brother. Thanks, guys. Nice one.